Good morning everybody from Melbourne International Airport and welcome back to another trip report. My name is Hugo and today I'm going to be taking a flight on ultra low cost carrier Scoot, so there's not even a headrest since I'm in basic economy, from here in Melbourne on a long haul flight to Singapore. I'm excited but slightly nervous for this flight, so come along, let's see just how bad it is and what it's like. Now inside Terminal 2, Melbourne Airport's International Terminal, it's time to check the boards to find out where check-in is. Check-in for my flight today was at Section F. Unless you have priority such as with Scoot Plus, it's just self-check-in, except there is a queue for document check. When I went to use the check-in kiosks, I got a printout thing saying I had to go to the document check. I think that if people had no checked baggage in the document check line, a staff member was asking so that they could just check the document. The line didn't move for a bit. I think the conveyor wasn't working for a minute or something. The check-in agent was pretty friendly. I got my boarding passes and my baggage checked through to Kuala Lumpur, which was my final destination for this day. The baggage was a bit under a kilogram over the limit, and that was fine. You either have to get a bundle with checked baggage, or just pay for it as an add-on, since none is included with the base fare on Scoot. But there is still a carry-on allowance. I think it's 10 kilos, which is more than normal. Security here today was quick. Airside there's plenty of duty free and there's also some cafes, restaurants and places to do some other shopping. I didn't have lounge access today, so I just did some Planespotting and had some food at one of the cafes. There's my ride to Singapore arriving in from Singapore. 9 Victor Oscar Juliet Bravo is a 2015 built Boeing 787-9 Dreamliner which was delivered new to Scoot. This aircraft has been named Barry. After asking the gate staff, I was told it was a pretty busy flight. Boarding was done by groups. Scoot Plus and Board Me First or whatever, I'm pretty sure that's an add-on, were in the group which boarded first.
Thank you for waiting. Passengers on Scoot Flight 019, seated in rows 30 to 45 of Zone 4, are invited to board now. Scoot Plus and Board Me First passengers may board at their convenience.
There were so many people in the wrong line. I was the only one in the Zone 4 economy line for the first minute or so. Worked out well for me because I ended up being one of the first on board. By the way, I think boarding for priority started slightly early. Hey, how are you?
Hello, hi. Across the right, yeah?
Thank you.
No worries. Across the right?
After a friendly welcome from the crew, welcome on board one of Scoot's Boeing 787-9s, which features 35 Scoot Plus seats, which is kind of their low-cost business class or premium economy, in a 232 configuration at the front, and then there's a total of 340 economy seats in a 333 configuration. There's a mini cabin behind Scoot Plus, which is called Scoot in Silence. I believe you have to be 12 years or older to sit in these seats, hence Scoot Silence. These seats also feature adjustable headrests and a bit more legroom. There's also stretch seats, which have additional legroom and I believe also headrests. But I'm not going to be sitting in any of those seats today, I'm sitting in basic economy, in seat 38K, which does not feature an adjustable headrest nor additional legroom. First impressions were that it looked like a spacious cabin, I guess as expected for a Dreamliner, but also the seats aren't super tall, which helps. The seats looked very basic and low-costy as you'd expect. Now let's take a look at the seat features. The width was pretty standard, but not bad, and the legroom was actually not bad at all for an ultra low cost carrier, probably 30 inches or so. Just here you'll find a standard seat back pocket containing some literature. Then there's also just a standard tray table. Also, the seat was relatively clean. And there's the buttons such as the reading light and crew call button. There is some recline on this seat, but there is no individual adjustable air vents. And lastly, there's the classic 787 window dimmer. Oh, and here's a clip from later of the universal power socket, which I forgot to film at first. That was probably because I wasn't planning on using it, because you have to pay for it. I don't know of any other airline that charges to use power sockets, but Scoot does. Also, the seatback padding was fine, not horrible, but not amazing. And that's about it for the seat features of this basic economy seat.
Thank you.
The rest of the cabin crew will make sure they will have a safe journey. Welcome aboard Scoot service ER19 bound for Singapore. And flight time this afternoon, we are looking at about 7 hours. So flight condition forecasted is generally fine. However, for the last 1 hour, 1.5 hours before arriving into Singapore, I do expect cloudy conditions with potential turbulence as well. So for your safety, seatbelt is recommended throughout the whole journey. Currently, we are just in the final stages of our preparation. After that is done, we'll be on our way. So please sit back and enjoy the journey. Thank you very much.
Also known as Scooties, we are delighted to welcome you aboard. We will be scooting off soon. For assistance, please approach any of our Scooties. Enjoy your Scoot experience.
So it sounds like the cabin crew are called Scooties, so I may refer to them as that in this video.
Please give your attention to the cabin crew at the front of the cabin. During evacuation, do not take your belongings with you.
It's now time for pushback, about right on time.
Voice calls are not allowed to be made. Headphones or earphones must not be worn during taxi, takeoff, and landing.
And the upgrade to Scoot Plus on this flight was 144 Singapore dollars. If you pre-booked a meal, you don't get it refunded. A meal is included when you upgrade, among other things. They did make an announcement about the upgrade too. I do think that was quite a reasonable price, especially if you haven't pre-ordered a meal. By the way, if you're enjoying this video so far and you enjoy the content that I put out on my channel, please consider liking and subscribing. It would help me and the channel out so much and would help me to make more videos like this. Though don't expect monthly Scoot reviews please. It would also be very much appreciated, but if you don't want to, that's completely okay.
Cabin crew to your takeoff stations.
Ladies and gentlemen, as you are about to take off, please ensure once again that the seatbelt is securely fastened. Mobile phones and all portable electronic devices are to be in flight safe mode. Headphones or earphones are not allowed to be worn, and charging of portable electronic devices are not allowed during taxi and takeoff until the lights are switched off. Thank you.
It's now time for takeoff on runway 34. that we're in the air, let's take a look at the Scoot Cafe menu. I thought that the prices for most things were reasonable, relatively similar to Jetstar Australia, but I think that $3 for water is a bit steep. When the crew came around to do the first service, they just gave me my pre-ordered meal after checking my name. I pre-ordered the black pepper beef with rice, which came along with a small pack of Cadbury cookies, a bit of chocolate cake and some water. Oh, and some cutlery. The meal didn't look very appealing, and the rice wasn't an amazing texture but was fine, and the meal overall tasted solid. It was no AirAsia meal, but did the job, and I've had worse. It was very saucy. It coming with sides is I think why it was a fair bit more to pre-order the meal than what the menu said the price was to buy it on board. The Cadbury cookies were tasty. A bit after the meal, the crew came around offering shopping of some sort. Might have been duty free or something, I don't know. After that, and rubbish was collected, at least from me, the cabin lights were dimmed and so were the windows, but they weren't locked, which I was excited about. Now let's take a look at one of the lavatories. By the way, one of the lavatories had defective equipment, but that's no big deal. It felt pretty clean and the soap in this one had run out, but when I went to a different lavatory later, that one had soap, and I thought that it smelled good. I thought that the recline was surprisingly decent for a low-cost carrier. A bit after halfway through the flight, I got a milk tea, a Singaporean one I think, and was convinced to get the combo with the cookies. I had the chocolate cake I got earlier as well, which was a standard nice chocolate cake. The tea was tasty, and I'm not too sure how to explain what it tasted like. I think that the second meal service was conducted around 2.5 hours prior to arrival.
Parents, please secure your infants with infant seatbelts.
I couldn't see any Scoot hub in my Wi-Fi networks, just Scoot Wi-Fi, so I wasn't able to get the games and stuff. The Wi-Fi prices weren't cheap in my opinion.
Our route is approximately 400 kilometers away from Singapore. In about 10 minutes time, we'll reach our tower descent. And the current time now in Singapore is coming up to 5:50 in the evening. There's a 3-hour difference between direction, Melbourne and Singapore. Traffic conditions, we are looking to be on the ground at approximately 5 minutes to 6, and with another 5 minutes of taxi time to our visit. On behalf of Captain Wu and the rest of the crew, I thank you for choosing Inflight today, and we wish you a pleasant day. Very good, please prepare for arrival. Thank you.
After the prepare for arrival announcement, rainbow mood lighting was turned on. When the crew came around doing arrival checks, they asked me to bring my seat upright, which was good. As we descend into Singapore, please allow me to conclude this flight with Scoot. I'll fully summarise my overall Scoot experience in my next Scoot flight review, but I'll still summarise this flight. Check-in was fine. I'm not sure specifically why I and many others seemed to need an additional document check, but that was fine once the line got moving again. Boarding worked well for me because it seemed that most people had no clue about different lines and zones. It was good that they had zones, I think. The seat was very basic, but since legroom and padding was okay, I found it fine for a daytime flight, though the lack of a headrest might be a bit annoying for a night flight. If I wasn't doing it for the review, I think it wasn't much more to get a better seat in Scoot Silence, or at least one with a headrest, which I think I'd do next time. The power sockets being charged for is a bit like, really? But I guess it is a super cheap flight. Water is the other thing, especially considering it's not cheap for the amount you get. But I guess if you bring a drink bottle, then you should be okay. My main meal was okay, but that's about it. The cookies were tasty, as was the cake and the drink that I had. The prices of the Wi-Fi wasn't cheap either, and I'm not sure what was going on with Scoot Hub. I don't know if that was just me. The Scooties were amazing, they were very friendly. In regards to comfort, I was surprised that I wasn't more uncomfortable than I was. For a day flight, I found this plane to be fine in that regard. But as I said, I'll get into my overall thoughts in my next Scoot video. We'll soon pull into the gate a bit over 30 minutes early, which was great. But for now, please enjoy the rest of the approach and landing on Singapore Changi International Airport's runway 02 left.
welcome to Singapore. We are pleased to announce that we have arrived 35 minutes ahead of schedule. Woohoo! The local time now is 5 minutes to 6 in the evening with a ground temperature of 29 degrees Celsius. There's a time difference of 3 hours between Melbourne and Singapore. Please remain seated with your seatbelts fastened until the seatbelt signs are turned off or advised by the crew. Please be careful when opening the overhead compartment as items may have moved during landing and could fall out. Blanket is yours to keep. You may choose to bring it along on your next Scoot flight. Thank you for flying with Scoot, the low-cost carrier of Singapore Airlines.
That was a pretty awesome landing, PA.
Cabin crew also decline, thank you.
I'd like to take this time to thank you all so much for watching this video. I'd also like to mention that this is the 50th airline that I've reviewed on this channel. That is just crazy, and thank you all so much for helping me to get this far. I'd also like to thank all of my incredible Patreons for helping to make these videos possible. Their support is truly so much appreciated, and I couldn't do what I do without them. So thank you so much to them. Once again, I'd like to thank you all so much for watching. I hope you have an amazing day, and I look forward to hopefully seeing you in my next one next Saturday at 5 PM Melbourne time.